Hi, Chef Jennifer Johnson, and today we're going to talk about salt. So which salts do I use and which do I like, and maybe just a little bit more education around some of the salts that are out there. So as I grew up with traditional table salt. Iodized had the little girl with the little kitty or little puppy on the front of it. I don't use that salt as I've moved on in life. I've figured out that they basically take all the leftovers of salt and then they boil them or heat them to 1200 degrees, add anti-caking agents to it, other chemicals, as well as they add iodine to it. So at one point in our life we weren't getting enough iodine, enough fish in our diet, so iodine was good for us. Today that's not the case. There's plenty of available fish available, so we get iodine through other methods. And then also you have to eat so much of the salt that it absorbs into the food, and it causes some of our issues that we have with high blood pressure and so on. Then there's also sea salt, which is gotten from the humidity of the ocean. They peel the salt off of that. I don't use sea salt because I have other alternatives that I like that have more nutritional benefits, as well as I think that the flavor is significantly better. So what I do use for all of my meats, as well as vegetables for the most part, is French gray salt, or otherwise known as Celtic salt. It's a little grayer. It sticks together a little bit. I use it with a grinder to grind it down into smaller pieces. It has more of a mineral flavor to it, and I find that I have to use much less of the French gray salt in the food that I cook in order to get a salty flavor to it, meaning that I don't believe that it has as much sodium into the meal, and it adds some additional flavors. So like I said, it's a little bit more minerally, and I find that it tastes better, so that's how I cook. Now for what I use in my desserts is pink Himalayan salt. I think it has a little bit more of a fresher taste to it, a little bit sweeter. So that's what I use in my desserts, as well as maybe some light or fresh vegetables, maybe a salad. I would use the pink Himalayan salt. Now the one things I like about both of these is because this comes from the salt out of the Himalayan mountains. This comes from the Brittany area in northern France, off the Celtic Sea. They have a lot of nutritional properties, including your adrenal glands and regulating your nutritional system, helping you absorb additional minerals or vitamins from your food. I think that it just has a lot more nutritional benefits, as well as they just taste really good. And I've started putting this on my organic chocolate chip cookies, and they are to die for. Anyways, kosher salt. I have kosher salt here. So why kosher salt? I use kosher salt when I make smoked salmon or a variety of other things. But kosher salt does not necessarily mean that it's kosher. All salt that doesn't have anything chemically added to it would be kosher. It's basically used in a koshering process. So it is cut a certain size, because if you were to take and kosher meat, because blood is not kosher, so you have to use salt to withdraw the blood from the meat in order to make it kosher. If you use too thin of a salt, it will absorb into the meat. If you use too thick of a salt, it will fall off. So this is cut to a specific size so that it sits on the meat and pulls the blood out of the meat in order for it to be, the meat to be considered kosher. Now, one of the things that I have tried, and I've found a little bit of recently, is this happens to be from Oregon. It is a cherry wood smoked salt. I've seen hickory and some other ones. I'm going to try this one. I have not tried it yet. But yeah, I'm hoping that it adds some smoky flavor to some of my meat and some of my other dishes, so that it adds a little bit different without having to be able to. So you can maybe do some smoking, add a smoky flavor to your food without having to go and smoke it for 85 hours. Anyways, so that is it from me today, and this is why I use the salts that I do, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Oh, I forgot. I think we're going to do oil tomorrow. I use these squeeze bottles and some olive oil, one of the olive oil brands that I use, and I think that we're going to do some oil tomorrow. I think that's the one we're going to do. Take care. Have a great night.